Welcome to Hestia's Muse, where we tend to the sacred fires of the heart, exploring spiritual principles woven into the fabric of astrology, tarot, and the wheel of the year. Have you ever found comfort in the cycles of the moon, or sought guidance in the symbolism of tarot cards? I'm Liliana Blackstar, and I will be your guide in this journey of self-discovery. Join me in this space where the study of astrology becomes an act of self-care and a pathway to self-actualization. Hello, friends. I am back, and we're going to talk about another tarot card and the astrology of that tarot card. I did miss a couple weeks at the end of Pisces season, so I apologize for that. I'll try to go back and cover that last one or two cards of Pisces in the future at some point, but right now we're going to go ahead and jump right in to Aries season. So today we're going to be talking about the Minor Arcana card, the Two of Wands. But first, let's just have a little bit of a look at Aries energy and the Aries archetype in general. So Aries is considered to be the first sign of the zodiac. We in the Northern Hemisphere consider Aries season to be the beginning of the new year, since Aries season is the beginning of spring, and we have the spring equinox, which starts the beginning of Aries season. So as such, Aries represents new beginnings and fresh starts. It is governed by the fiery planet of Mars, and which symbolizes courage, assertiveness, and, a pioneering spirit. Aries individuals are often very determined to achieve their goals, and they're not afraid to take on challenges. The archetype of Aries teaches us to embrace our individuality, trust our instincts, and take bold leaps of faith. And mostly that is faith in ourselves, faith that I can do this thing, right? However, Aries energy can be impulsive and impatient. Therefore, it is important for us to remember to act with mindfulness and consideration for others. Aries is the sign of I am. That is the phrase that you would associate with Aries is I am. So it's all about determining who you are as an individual. And Aries encourages us to pursue our passions, blaze our own trails, and fearlessly embark on our own journey of self-discovery and self-actualization. Aries is a fire sign. In astrology, the element of fire represents passion, enthusiasm, and the creative spark. It embodies dynamic, assertive, and spontaneous qualities found in signs such as Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Those are the fire signs. So similarly in tarot, fire symbolizes action, transformation, and inspiration. It is associated with the suit of wands. And the wands are always going to signify the spark of ideas, the drive for achievement, the courage to pursue your goals, having a sense of vigor and vitality and determination, as well as kind of a purifying and cleansing effect where everything else burns away and you're left with a singular focus or inspiration to move forward and go after that which you desire. So the keyword for wands is usually action. These cards speak to us about actions that we need to take or actions that we are taking, and the driving force, the inspiration, the motivation, and the courage or willpower that we apply to that action. Aries is a cardinal sign. The cardinal signs mark the beginning of a season, So Aries is the beginning of spring, Cancer is the beginning of summer, Libra is the beginning of autumn, and Capricorn is the beginning of winter. And so the cardinal signs are about initiation, leadership, initiative, and having a pioneering spirit. The cardinal signs embody the energy of new beginnings. They push forward with enthusiasm and drive to initiate change, and they kind of set the tone for the season ahead. The cardinal signs are dynamic, assertive, and they're often catalysts for growth and transformation in both personal and collective areas of life. So in the tarot, the cardinal signs are represented by the beginning of a suit. These are either the 2, 3, or the 4 of a suit. And those first cards indicate the beginning of a journey, and they lead the early lessons of the energy of each suit. So therefore, the cards to represent the cardinal fire of Aries, remembering that fire is wands and cardinal is a 2, 3, and 4, and that is how we get the association of the 2 of wands, 3 of wands, and 4 of wands as the cards, the minor arcana cards of Aries season. So each sign is ruled by a planet, and then each decan is also ruled by a planet. So a decan is a subdivision of a sign. There are 30 degrees in a sign, and we divide it into 3 little mini sections that are 10 degrees each, and those are the decans. So the entire sign of Aries is ruled by Mars, and then you have these 3 little sections, and each one of those has a different planetary ruler also. However, the first 10 degrees of Aries, that first decan of Aries, is also ruled by Mars. So this section of Aries is very, very Martian in nature. There's a lot of Mars energy here. So in astrology, Mars is considered a very powerful and assertive planet. It is associated with energy, motivation, and the pursuit of individual desires. It is named after the Roman god of war, and it represents courage, vitality, and a strong determination to take action. Mars has a significant influence on how we assert ourselves, pursue our goals, and express our passions. Mars is often linked to our physical energy and how we approach life's challenges, symbolizing the driving force that moves us forward. Mars can be seen as the planet of our basic animal instincts and our drives for survival, as well as the motivational force that energizes us to push forward through challenges and gives us the courage to face adversity. The more passionate we feel about something, the more driven we are to fight to attain or protect that thing, right? So our passion is directly related to our sense of drive and willpower, and our drive and willpower is related to our motivation and our desire to either go get something or to protect something that we already have. So Mars can be representative of the strength of our willpower and the spark that ignites our projective and active modes of operation. So this Mars fiery, passionate energy is what drives our aggression, our anger, and our combative or competitive nature as well. The energy of Mars can be useful when we need it, but it can also be destructive and harmful if it is wielded carelessly or selfishly, right? There are times we need that drive, that combat energy. There's times that we need to be projective and exert our will. And there are times when exerting our will if we're doing it selfishly or carelessly, we can hurt other people. So we have to be very careful with how we wield our Mars energy. Mars in your birth chart, sorry, can kind of show you where you tend to carry a weapon or run with sharp objects. Right, so there's an energy of wherever Mars is in your chart or in transits that says, hey, you've got a weapon that you're walking around with here. And sometimes that weapon is helpful. We need a tool occasionally to help us, right? But we want to make sure that we are not swinging that weapon around willy-nilly and not like running with scissors, or that we sheathe our knife at appropriate times and aren't waving it around in people's faces when they're not a danger to us, etc. So, we are going to now look at this tarot card, the Two of Wands, and I wanted to kind of go over this Aries energy and this Mars energy first, and then we're going to look at the Two of Wands because this is the tarot card that is associated with those first 10 degrees of Aries. And those first 10 degrees of Aries are ruled by Aries and sub-ruled by Aries. So you could interpret the Two of Wands as having a strong Martian influence or to represent the energy of Mars in Aries. Like this is a card of Aries and it is a card of Mars. So Mars in Aries is not the only thing to associate this card with, but it helps to, when you're interpreting this card, to remember that it is an Aries card. It is a cardinal fire energy card, and it is related to Mars. So you want to bring those energies in when you're interpreting this card. So the Two of Wands in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith style imagery depicts a figure that is looking kind of regal. He looks like he's maybe a captain or a general. He's holding a globe and standing on like a trellis or a balcony looking out over the ocean, and he's holding this globe and peering out at the horizon, and there's this big ocean out in front of him, and you get the sense that he is planning a journey. So the Two of Wands represents a crucial moment of decision making and a choice to go do something and go exploring. This card signifies a time of ambition and vision where opportunities are abundant, but choices need to be made. So some of the keywords with this card are ambition, choices, confidence, decision making, exploration, foresight, future planning, initiative, inspiration, leadership, potential, progression, planning, and vision. So this card really represents a crucial moment of decision making and exploration. There is ambition and vision. This person believes in himself. They are ambitious. They have a vision and a dream, and they are looking out into the future, looking into the world and saying, I bet I could go out there and have an adventure, or I could go out there and make a difference. I could go out there and find my fortune, right? So there's a lot of I am energy with this card. Like, I am going to go out and find my fortune. I'm going to go out and have an adventure and exert my will upon the world. So this card really is a moment of someone looking out into their future and deciding what they're wanting out of that future, which I feel is very relevant to this early part of Aries energy, at least here in the northern hemisphere, where we have the very beginning of Aries energy is with the spring equinox. And so the spring is here. We step out of the winter and we go, okay, now I'm going to go do what I want to do. Now I'm going to go after my dreams. Like, yeah, we set our New Year's resolutions or intentions with the new year, but often I don't really feel like the new year starts until the spring starts, because in the winter time, it's still in that period of incubation, right? We are planting our seeds inside still during the end of winter. We might have a greenhouse, or we're planting seeds indoors, or the seeds outdoors haven't fully sprouted up out of the ground yet. But spring comes, and now we have a new kind of inspiration and motivation, and our ambition and sense of vision comes. So this Two of Wands card really encourages people to step out of their comfort zone and embrace their aspirations, and then take those first steps towards their goals with confidence and determination. This card reminds us that while the path ahead might be uncertain, our willingness to take risks and assert our ambitions can ultimately lead to growth and fulfillment. This person who is standing and looking out at the world is not going to be necessarily deterred by the potential for how many things can go wrong. They know that, yes, things can go wrong out there. There's danger out there. There's unexpected things out there. But this is a card of Mars and Aries. So there is courage, and there's a willingness to take risks, and there's an assertiveness and a confidence that I can deal with it. Whatever's out there, I can deal with it. Whatever's out there is worth the risk, right? So that's kind of where I see the Mars energy of this card, is just in the confidence. This person in this card has a lot of confidence while they are envisioning the future that they want and deciding to go and get it. And the twos in the tarot deck represent a choice. There's always a choice that needs to be made with the two. And I think the choice here is whether you're going to go after your dreams or not. Your dream is visible, like you can clearly visualize what you want. You know what you want, you know who you are, and now you have the choice. Am I gonna go after my dream, or am I just gonna sit here, right? That's your choice at this point. So I want to look again at this energy of Mars, specifically if we think of this card as Mars in Aries. Like I said, it's not necessarily that like the Mars is in Aries every time that this card is relevant, or it's not necessarily like this card is only relevant when Mars is in Aries. But since we're combining the energy of Mars with the energy of Aries in this card, it can be helpful to kind of just get an overall look of what or how we interpret the energy of Mars in Aries. So Mars is a planet, again, that symbolizes action and assertiveness. It rules the signs of both Aries and Scorpio. So in Aries, it is in domicile. It is in one of its signs that it has rulership of. It belongs here, it lives here. Mars thrives in Aries. So when Mars and Aries join forces, they create a powerful energy that drives people to take bold initiatives and pursue their goals with determination and courage. The alignment of Mars energy with Aries energy teaches us to embrace our inner warrior, trust our instincts, and to be able to confront challenges fearlessly or confidently. It also encourages us to channel our passion and aggression positively and cultivate resilience when we face difficulties. So remember, like, aggression isn't always just a negative thing. And aggression can be directed positively. It is something that helps us be resilient. It helps us survive against all odds. It helps us assert ourselves when we know that we are in the right or when we need to protect ourselves. So again, this can be a really powerful thing, but however, the energy of Mars combined with Aries can also be extremely impulsive and reactive. It's not a combination that allows for a lot of time to sit and think about what you do before you do it. It's very reactive. It's very, I'm just going to jump and do this now. I have an impulse, I have a feeling, and I just have to follow it. And so there are times that impulsivity is necessary. If you talk to first responders or people who have arrived at the scene of an accident and they don't think, they just react. They run, they jump, they respond, and they help other people, or they survive. They get themselves to a safe place, or they are able to, suddenly jerk the car door open that's jammed because they get a really strong burst of adrenaline that gives them this super strength, and they're able to lift something really heavy to help someone. They didn't stop and think about if they were able to do it. They didn't stop and think about a plan. And that's that very positive side of the impulsive and reactive side of Aries and Mars. However, right, that's not always what we want. We don't always want to be reactive and impulsive. There are times, a lot of times actually, when we need to stop and think before we act or speak. We need to stop and think before we jump to conclusions or jump into action. So with the energy of Mars and Aries combined, there comes this, again, you have a weapon, you need to be careful with it. You have this very powerful, fiery, passionate energy. You need to apply some mindfulness and some consideration of others so that we don't let this impulsivity and aggression take over and lead all of our actions and choices. Again, there's times when we need that, but not all the time. There's times when we want this Aries and Mars energy to just kind of take over and we don't want to sit and overthink things. But that's not all the time. It's actually pretty rare when we need that energy in that way, right? So the ultimate message, I think, of this combination of Mars with Aries is to inspire us to embody the warrior spirit within us that allows us to pursue our ambitions with confidence and assertiveness, but knowing when to use that assertiveness, use that confidence, use that aggression even. It's knowing when to use the weapons that we have versus when to put them away and hold on to that energy and that fire for another time when it's going to be more relevant. So putting that together with the Two of Wands, and considering that the Two of Wands is a card of Aries and a card of Mars. So again, when the sun first enters the first 10 degrees of Aries, we celebrate the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. There's an energy of new beginnings and the start of a grand adventure through another turn of the wheel of the year. So in this card, we see a person who is likely a leader of some kind, a king, a captain, a general, looking out at the world and envisioning a grand future. There's a sense of longing and desire. This person knows what they want and they are making plans to go out and get it. We are the kings or captains or generals of our own lives, and we have many dreams and ambitions for our future at various points in our life. At the time when we see this card, even if it is not literally the spring equinox in our calendars, or even if Mars is not in Aries, we are having a moment of aspiration and inspiration, a moment in which we can envision the future that we want, and we can begin making plans or taking steps to achieve our desires. That fiery cardinal energy of Aries is present in this card with the reminder that we have the power to make our own choices and lead the way for change in our lives. The ambition and courageous energy of Mars is present too, for there's always a risk involved when we're starting something new. We do not know exactly how things will turn out, and so we must gather our willpower and our courage to set out on the path, even if we don't know whether or not we will be successful. We have enough self-confidence and enough passion to say, I'm going to take my chances and set out on this path. I'm going to face whatever challenges come in order to fight for that dream that I have, in order to fight for the vision of that future that I want. So the twos represent choices or a moment of being in a crossroads where you must make a decision. The choice here is about action and ambition. A choice needs to be made that involves taking an action, which will move you in the direction of your highest ambition. You can dream about the garden you want to grow, but in order to make it into a reality, you need to take the actions to get the seeds and plant them. Your ambitions tell you what direction you want to go, but you're going to need to apply this Mars and Aries energy to actually take action and expend energy toward those goals. You're going to have to behave in a cardinal, fiery Mars way in order to get things started. It is the spark that's going to get the engine running. It is the spark that is you taking those first steps. And usually the first steps are the hardest. And once you get going, momentum builds and energy builds, but the hardest part is getting started. And that's what this moment is here. When Mars is involved, there's a challenge. And this challenge is taking the first step, getting the energy moving. So for your journaling or self-reflection, I have some questions you can consider if you draw this card or during a time when Mars is in Aries, or if you have any planets in your birth chart in the first 10 degrees of Aries, or during a time when any planets are transiting through the first 10 degrees of Aries. You might want to reflect on this card and do some journaling. So here are some questions you can ask yourself. What am I feeling ambitious about? What future am I envisioning that has me feeling excited and motivated? What risks am I willing to take to achieve my dreams? In what ways can I expand my horizons and step outside of my comfort zone to explore new possibilities? What risks am I willing to take in order to achieve my goals? What decisions do I need to make to move forward with confidence and clarity in pursuit of my goals? All right. I thank you for taking the time to tune in and listen to this episode. I wish you a very lovely week and an amazing Aries season. There's a lot going on this Aries season. We have Mercury is going to retrograde in the sign of Aries, and then we have eclipses in the sign of Libra and Aries. So there's a lot going on. So hang in there, do your self-care, do your self-reflection, practice mindfulness, and remember that you have the power to make your own choices, to go out and get that life that you want.